Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Savannah and today we're going to be delving into the 5 strangest unsolved mysteries in The Sims 3. First and foremost, sorry for the lighting and really boring background. I'm in a college dorm right now, so this is what we're working with today. Now I should preface this by saying that 5 strangest mysteries really translates to my 5 favorite mysteries. There are dozens of unsolved mysteries in The Sims 3. I could probably make a 100-hour long video if I went over all of them, but today we're just going to be delving into my 5 favorite that I have the most to say about, I find the most fascinating. If I don't get to your favorite mystery today, don't worry, just comment down below what it is and I'll probably include it in a later video. So without further ado, let's load into The Sims 3. First we have the bizarre appearance of everyone's least favorite creepy Casanova, Don Lothario in Riverview. Now you're probably aware that The Sims 3 is a prequel of sorts, taking place 25 years before The Sims 1, which itself takes place 25 years before The Sims 2. That's why Sims like Bella and Moira Goth are children in The Sims 3. However, strangely, here we have Mr. Don Lothario in Riverview as an adult, just like he was in The Sims 2. First, let's go over some background on who Mr. Lothario is for the uninitiated. Don Lothario first appeared in The Sims 2 on Pleasantview, which is one of the 3 base game worlds that shipped with the game. He was a known womanizer and was romantically involved with several women around town, including the Caliente sisters, Kaylin Langerak, and Cassandra Goth, who he was engaged to. Also, he at one point seemed to try to make the moves on Bella Goth, and she rejected him of course, but interestingly, the last photo of Bella Goth before her famous disappearance was her looking through a telescope at Don Lothario's condo. Strange. Anyway, here he is in The Sims 3 in Riverview. His household bio gives a bit of an insight to how exactly he got here, stating, quote, Don woke up one morning in a whole new world. He remembers stepping onto the teleporter, several women laughing, then nothing until he found himself here. His personal bio gives a bit more info. Don was facing a big choice between marriage and continuing to be a man about town. Will his accidental teleportation to a new town change his old ways? Here, his traits are charismatic, commitment issues, flirty, hot-headed, and schmoozer. His lifetime wishes to be a heartbreaker, and he is unemployed. So how did he get to Riverview? Why is he the same age as he was in The Sims 2? If The Sims 3 is 50 years in the past? Who are the several laughing women mentioned in his household bio? Let's break this down a bit and go question by question. First, how did he get to Riverview? Well, as his bio states, some sort of strange teleportation. However, while his bios only mention teleportation, it is likely this teleportation also included some sort of time travel, which would explain why he is still an adult. I imagine the several laughing women mentioned were likely his previous lovers, who probably found out about his scummy antics and decided to band together to get revenge. The accidental in his bio is in quotes because it was most certainly not an accident on their part. Additionally, his personal bio mentions some sort of marriage, which is likely referencing his impending marriage to Cassandra Goth. This still leaves remaining questions though. He's unemployed but managed to find a place to live, the granary at 100 Bounty Drive. Most people theorize that this was given to him by the McDermott family, who live nearby on a decently sized farm. This is because the trailer for Riverview shows Don teleporting into their garden. The place seems a bit dingy and poorly furnished, perhaps indicating they gave him some old furniture to help him out. Additionally, there are some old toys inside which could have previously belonged to their children. This raises further questions, however. For one, why would they do this for him? A random guy teleports into their garden and they just give him a home? They not inquire about the teleportation and the time travel? It could also be possible that Don simply moved into the granary because it was empty. The lot description even states it was abandoned for years. Also worthy of note, Don seems to have lost his memory, or at least some of it, as his bio implies some gaps in his memory. He might not have completely lost all of his memory, as he seemingly remembers his marriage and womanizing antics, but he seemingly has completely forgotten the events that brought him here. I find this to be one very fascinating mystery. Maybe this bizarre experience will convince him to maybe give up his womanizing ways. Our next mystery also takes place in Riverview and is that of the Remington family. At one Remington point resides the Jones family. Hannah and Aiden Jones inherited the Remington estate from Hannah's cousins. However, they have learned that they're unfortunately not alone in their new home, as the deceased Remington family haunts the mansion. Jasper Remington is the brother of Hannah's mother, Lydia Remington. He died by electrocution as an adult, and his urn sits on the 2nd floor in a small bedroom next to a TV. Eileen Remington was his wife, and she died from starvation as an adult. Ironically, her grave sits outside just beneath the kitchen window. Cody was the couple's teenage son, and he died by fire. He is buried outside in the family garden. Strangely, he is resurrected. His relationship panel shows he was good friends with his parents, but only acquaintances with his little sister, Kirsten. Kirsten drowned as a child and is buried next to her mother. Interestingly, Hannah's mother, Lydia, is also deceased, but she is buried in the town cemetery. She died by drowning as an adult. Very oddly, if she is resurrected, her relationship panel shows that she knows basically no one in the family, including her brother and daughter. Was this a mistake by the developers, or was it supposed to mean something? Something important to mention is that the mansion itself is very likely inspired by the Winchester Mystery House. This is a mansion in San Jose, California that was owned by Sarah Winchester. Sarah was a very wealthy heir to the Winchester Arms fortune. The company made the popular Winchester rifles. Tragically, her infant daughter passed away, and not long after, her husband William died as well. Allegedly, this prompted Sarah to seek out the help of a medium who was instructed to move her from her previous home in Connecticut and build a home somewhere else and never stop building on the home. The purpose of this was to ward away the spirits that haunted her and her family, specifically the spirits of those who died as a result of Winchester rifles. The mansion is a confusing maze with doors leading to nowhere, 17 chimneys, and a bunch of fake bathrooms, among many other peculiarities. All of this was in hopes of confusing the spirits that followed her. This connection with the Remington family is supported by the fact that Remington is also the name of a brand of rifles. Also, the Remington estate is very strangely built itself. It contains inaccessible balconies, a single room with 3 chimneys and a lounge chair in the middle, and a bunch of oddly placed windows, among other oddities. The lot description also states that Jasper believed that if he kept building on the house, his legacy would go on forever. However, this does not explain all of the strangeness surrounding this family. First of all, how did they die? We of course know their causes of death, but the actual circumstances are a mystery. Additionally, in what order that they die? I assume Cody passed first. This is based on his lack of a relationship with Kirsten. Perhaps this may suggest that he died when she was young, maybe a baby or a toddler, and that's why he did not know her very well. And maybe he passed away in the chimney room. As stated, Kirsten drowned. However, it couldn't have been on the lot as the lot has no pool. Her aunt Lydia also died by drowning, so maybe their deaths could have been related, but I doubt that based on the fact that the two didn't even know each other. Jasper's death seems pretty straightforward in my opinion. He was fixing the TV and died. Why was his urn just left there though, and why wasn't he buried outside with the rest of the family? Was he the last to go? And how on earth did Eileen starve to death? Why was she buried outside the kitchen? Was that her place of death, or was she buried there afterward? Also, why are Kirsten and Eileen next to each other but Cody is in the garden? Is the family just cursed? Will Hannah and Aiden face similar tragic and untimely fates? Also, something strange to note is that the Jones family bio states that the home was inherited from Hannah's cousins. However, I imagine Jasper and Eileen own the house and they are her aunt and uncle, so she would have inherited from them, I assume. So here is my sort of half theory. It isn't all the way cooked, so please bear with me. So Cody probably died first when Kirsten was a baby, which is why she barely knew him. He may have died lounging in the chimney room for some reason, assuming that it was already built before he passed. Kirsten, of course, drowned. Some speculate that her death may be related to the car that is in the town river. I would like to build on that. I don't think she died with Lydia. Perhaps she was with her mother and something happened, causing them to spin out, end up on the wrong side of the road, and end up in the river. Eileen managed to get out but was unable to save her daughter. She was so distraught that she starved to death, sitting outside by her daughter's grave for days. This still leaves some questions. If Kirsten died before her mother, why was she buried there outside the kitchen and not next to her brother? Jasper probably died last by electrocution, hence why he was simply left in his place of death. He had no one to bury him. He left the house to Hannah because he had no heirs. As I said, this theory still leaves some holes. For example, how did Lydia die? Let me know what you think in the comments, or be nice to me. Okay, I really tried. Our next mystery is about Lolita Goth. I spoke about her a little bit in my Sunset Valley deep dive, which you should definitely watch if you haven't already, after this video of course, but I'd like to go a little bit more in depth on this fascinating little mystery. In Sunset Valley at 13 Skyborough Boulevard resides the Goth family at Goth Manor. The family is made up of Gunther and Cornelia Goth and their son Mortimer. On the lot there's a small family graveyard. Buried there are Gunther's parents, Victor and Gretel Goth, and Cornelia's parents, Simon and Prudence Crumblebottom. Yes, Crumblebottom. If you want to learn more about that family, please check out this video. Also buried in the graveyard is a sim named Lolita Goth. Lolita died as a young adult by electrocution. Interestingly though, there are no electronics in the house, which may suggest that she was perhaps struck by lightning, or perhaps she did die by an electronic device and all the devices in the home were subsequently removed as a result. She does not appear in the family tree, oddly, so her exact relation to the Goths family is unknown. Some theories suggest that she may have been Gunther's previous wife, and she maybe took the Goth last name when they married, however they had no children together. So when she passed, she was technically no longer a part of the family tree. It's worthy of note though that when resurrected, she does not have a relationship with Gunther. However, this could have just been an oversight by the developers. Something sort of worth mentioning, Sims 4, which takes place in an alternate timeline, mentioned Lolita in the Sims 4 Life and Death expansion, stating that she was a far back ancestor of the Goth family. I do not believe this to be the case in this timeline, however, due to her rather modern attire. Some other theories believe she is a reference to the young girl named Dolores in the novel Lolita. This is partially due to her romance-related traits and her childish trait. Additionally, the name Lolita is a nickname for the name Dolores in Spanish. Lolita is an incredibly controversial novel about a grown man named Humbert writing about his creepy obsession with a 12-year-old girl. Some believe that Samuel Goth, Gunther's uncle who appears in Moonlight Falls, is Humbert and that Lolita was his previous wife. This is because Lolita strangely has the same favorites as both Samuel Goth and his wife Olivia. Personally, I doubt this theory because I truly do not think the Sims team would reference something so dark and controversial in the game. Personally, I believe she was likely the first wife of Gunther. I think she was electrocuted by some sort of electronic appliance or device, and Gunther removed all electronics in the home as a result. This would make sense as he's rather close to becoming an elder at the start of the game, as is Cornelia. This would indicate that their son Mortimer was born when Gunther and Cornelia had already entered the adult life stage. Perhaps he married Lolita when he was young, and then she passed and he waited some time to move on, eventually meeting Cornelia a bit later in his young adulthood. This would explain why his and Cornelia's relationship is sort of mediocre at the start of the game. Perhaps she just wasn't his true love. Truly a sad love story. Let me know what you guys think about the whole novel connection. I doubt it. Maybe I'm in the minority. Let me know. Next we have the peculiar hidden grave behind Plasma 501. In Bridgeport, there is a popular vampire lounge called Plasma 501. Behind it there is a hidden grave of a sim by the name of Lot of Graves, likely a pun on the phrase Lot of Graves. Her Her grave is located very strangely. It is in a gated area only accessible through a room in the basement of the building. She died as a young adult, and her cause of death was fire. Her traits were no sense of humor, light sleeper, and charismatic. She only has 3 traits, which is a bit strange given that most young adults have 5. Her lifetime wish was to be super popular, and her tombstone indicates that she either completed this lifetime wish or somehow achieved 150,000 lifetime happiness points, which is both impressive and peculiar for young adults. She's friends with Vladimir Schlick and Ebenezer Clavier, I think it's French, I don't really know. And she was enemies with Elvira Slayer. Vladimir and Elvira are both vampires, and Elvira is the most powerful vampire in Bridgeport. Vladimir and Elvira are actually longtime friends, and Vlad is part of her vampire clan. Basically, there are 2 feuding vampire clans in Bridgeport. Elvira leads the old vampire clan, and the newer clan is led by Jessica Talon. Ebenezer is a human and doesn't seem to really have any connections with the vampires. He's a wannabe musician from the countryside trying to make it big in the city. Despite Lotta's pale skin and dark aesthetic, she was not a vampire. However, she seemingly was involved with the vampires in some way. There are interesting things to note before we get into all the questions and theories about her death. First, she shares a last name with one of Olive Specter's victims. Olive Specter is a serial killer from The Sims 2 Strange Town, and the outside of her home is littered with graves of her victims. One of them was a pizza deliverer named Danielle Graves. It is unknown if this is just a coincidence or if the 2 are related in some way. Additionally, there's a street in the downtown neighborhood in The Sims 2 Nightlife called Graves Avenue. So onto the lingering questions and possible theories. So what was the fire that caused her death? Was it an accident or was there foul play? If it was foul play, was Elvira involved? Elvira has loads of enemies, but almost all of them are other vampires. So how on earth did Lotta get on her bad side? And if Elvira did kill her, did Vladimir know? I imagine you'd be a bit less than happy with her offing one of his friends. So here is my theory. Ebenezer was not at all involved in her death. As I stated, he's a wannabe musician. However, at the start of the game, he is unemployed, and according to his wiki, he sometimes appears as a pianist at lounges. I imagine Lotta was a frequent regular at Plasma 501 and became friends with him due to him playing there so often. I think that perhaps Lotta was becoming a bit too close with Vladimir. They were just friends, but maybe there was something a little bit more brewing between the 2 of them, and Elvira could tell. As a result, Elvira chose to get rid of her, with her motives being one of 2 things. Perhaps Elvira thought Vlad's developing romance with Lotta could become a distraction for him. Things were getting incredibly tense with the opposing vampire clan, and she didn't want to risk any of her subordinates getting distracted from their goal. So she killed Lotta at Plasma 501 by secretly causing some sort of fire to make it look like an accident, so that Vladimir would not turn on her for killing his friend. Lotta was popular at Plasma 501, hence her completed super popular lifetime wish, and they chose to commemorate her by burying her behind it, in a hidden location that only regulars would know about. The other possible motive was that maybe Elvira hated Lotta simply because Elvira herself was also interested in Vladimir. The method of killing her would have been the same. I am actually quite proud of this theory of mine. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. Last but not least, we have my absolute favorite family in the entire game, the Doe family. Residing in Midnight Hollow at 25 Swallow Street resides the Does. The family consists of John and Jane Doe, and their 3 children, Joseph, Jennifer, and James. Their household bio states, quote, Jane is the perfect housewife from her neat hairstyle to her fashionable yet conservative dress. She is neat, nurturing, loves her kids, and can make a mean pot roast. Meanwhile, John is rising the ranks at his corporate job. He feels successful in life and supported by his family. He works hard but comes home in enough time to teach the kids a lesson or 2 about life and talk to his wife about her day. Nothing mysterious seems to be happening here, but if their house used to have a basement, their home is called Abnormal Habitat, and the home description states, quote, who needs the sun when you have such great neighbors? The Does are a bizarrely average family for the vibe of Midnight Hollow. Midnight Hollow is a town for the misfits, the weird, and the eccentric. Its description states, explore a landscape where all you're really required to be is yourself. Under the subdued sky of Midnight Hollow, it's the residents who really shine. Eccentric townsfolk have taken a century-old Victorian town and made it a place they can call home. What life will you make in a town where creativity and individuality are at the center of it all? It's a town for quirky people. Ironically though, despite being big on individuality, the townies all lack individual bios. All male Sims have one bio, and all female Sims have another. The Does are a very generic, cookie-cutter suburban American-esque nuclear family with a 1950s US aesthetic that drastically contrasts the more Victorian vibe of the rest of the town. So why on earth are they in Midnight Hollow? So most of the family knows no one in town other than each other, with the exception of John, who knows his boss, and Joseph, who's romantically involved with fellow teen Maggie Flynn. Joseph's relationship with Maggie suggests that they probably didn't just move to town, so why do they not speak to anybody? Also worthy of note is that Jane Doe is actually pregnant at the start of the game, but is not aware of it yet. So clearly there's something incredibly off with this family. They are abnormally normal. You may already know that John and Jane Doe are names used for unidentified men and women in the US and UK, typically in true crime or medical cases for unknown deceased individuals or when someone needs to be kept anonymous. According to the wiki, James and Jennifer are typically used for unidentified boys and girls, but I legitimately could not find a source for that, and that is not something that I've ever heard before, but we'll roll with it as it sort of plays into my theory later. So clearly these people are not who they say they are. Their creepiness is exacerbated by the interview done with the family and promotion promotion for the release of Midnight Hollow. The interview was short and strange. Good afternoon, Doe family. Thank you for letting us be here today. You have a lovely home. Well, that's all due to my wife Jane here. The light of my life keeps my home perfect and welcoming. Oh, John, you're making me blush. Aren't you guys precious? Let's start off with you telling me a bit about yourselves. Would you like some more tea? No, thank you. The cup you gave me just moments ago with the fresh baked scones is excellent. There's nothing to tell, really. I'm living the dream in the corporate life, and I come home to a beautiful wife, a clean home, and excellent children. Well, it all seems pretty excellent. So tell me, what brought you to Midnight Hollow? It seems a little dark for your sunny family. Are you sure you wouldn't like that tea? Joseph gets up angrily and walks up the house and slams the door. Chen sits quietly and stares ahead with an eerie blank expression. James giggles and plays happily in the corner. You know, just a change of scenery. You never know where the winds will take you and all that. Right. So what about tour of the house? You know, it's clear that Jane isn't feeling too well. I think it's time for you to go. What the heck was that? There are lots of questions in desperate need of answers right now. What are these people hiding? What was in that tea? Who are these people and what happened to their basement? Why did Joseph get up and leave so angrily? Is their secret tied to him specifically? Interestingly, although his name starts with a J, he's the only family member whose name is not typically used to refer to an unidentified person. This is assuming that the wiki is correct about James and Jennifer being typically used for children. I find Joseph to be the most interesting member of the Doe family and the core reason for their presence in Midnight Hollow. The rest of his family seem to be kind of weird blank slates. None of them have friends outside of the household. They just kind of exist. They were there to be a family and nothing else. The interview even states that Jennifer just kind of sits there with a strange blank expression. Jane is a housewife but has zero skills. She can't even cook, so what pot roast was their bio referring to? James is just a toddler being a toddler, and John isn't remarkable either, a generic businessman. There's some interesting theories surrounding Joseph. Some people believe that he's Ethan Bunch from Sunset Valley due to their sharing several traits and having similar appearances. I don't think this is the case though. I think that's just a coincidence. Something very striking about Joseph is his skills, specifically his maxed gardening skill. This is very rare and difficult for a teen. I think this is a very crucial thing. So here's my theory. Joseph's real family is dead. They either mysteriously died or he killed them all. Some way, somehow, he gathered this family of random unidentified people. Perhaps they are people on the run, perhaps they are being held against their will. Joseph buried his original family where the basement once was, hence his level 10 gardening skill. This still doesn't answer a lot of questions though. Who is the rest of the family if this is the case? Were they just a bunch of random people thrown together? Or were they a family and Joseph joined them? Where did he even get these people? Why did they join him? And what is wrong with Jennifer? And why does Jane have zero skills? This family is probably the creepiest family in the entire game, and that is why they're my absolute favorite. So those are 5 of the strangest unsolved mysteries in The Sims 3. Again, if I didn't tackle your favorite mystery, don't worry. Just let me know what it is down below, and I'll probably include it in a little bit of a later video. I want to do more of these, and maybe some for The Sims 2 as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. For my next video, I'll be doing a Riverview deep dive. So if that interests you, I hope to see you there. Bye-bye!